pennants, I believe they have 40 of those, but also World Series, but they have 27 of those. This is what we expected from Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. This is what we expected when they put them together. They put those aces on that staff. So absolutely. Now, of course, you appreciate them having their most consecutive wins since what? The mid-'80s. Shout to Billy Martin, by the way. I wonder if he was the coach that time. But yeah, this is what we expect. Are you not going to be a Die Easy Yankee fan?
No. But my son is a Yankee fan, so I'm happy for him. But Garrett Cole has been pitching really well recently. Luke Voigt, and you mentioned Stanton and Judge. It has that Bronx Bombers, Murderers Row sort of payoff that we expect from the players in pinstripes. But Jalen, this is what they should be doing. Like, they started so slow, they had some injury issues, but this roster from top to bottom is so productive, and it's good to see them winning.
And rest in peace to the boss, George Steinbrenner, the original owner. One of the fascinating things is they still operate in 2021. Team first, name on the jersey, no last name on the back, no hair on the face. You could play for the Yankees. I couldn't even play for the squad.
Jalen, we have an interesting story in regards to Noels Noel. What happened was this Clutch Sports, Rich Paul's agency, said, you know what, Noels Noel owes us $200,000. They filed a grievance. Noels Noel turned around and said, guess what? I'm going to countersue for $58 million for loss in potential salary that he could have gotten. We all know what happened with Noels. He was offered a big deal, turned it down, bet on himself, and it didn't pay off. He got hurt. What do you think about this story?
This is on each side been happening since the beginning of time. This won't be the last time that a player's unhappy with Clutch Sports or any agent based on a deal that they thought they were going to get, that they didn't ultimately get paid by, and or seemingly to feel like there were opportunities out there that didn't necessarily come their way. For the player, it's always going to be guys that's willing to bet on themselves. We saw that with Dennis Schroeder this year. What ends up happening is never underestimate the lack of job security in the NBA. Around 20 to 25% of players that you saw in uniform this past season will not be next season. Like, the job security is scarce in that league. And so what ends up happening is during the offseason, we like, okay, Chris Paul got a deal, Mike Conley got a deal. You keep going on and on and on, and you're looking at the guards and you're like, wait a minute, Dennis Schroeder. The music has stopped and there's no chair for him. And so I believe that he's going to ultimately get his money. It's unfortunate for Noels Noel that he didn't get a big deal. And when you're not in, I guess, all-star and or superstar caliber player, this is a lesson. Take the money. Take the money. Listen to Jalen. Keep getting them checks. Imagine if you Dennis Schroeder. You want them trading you, dog, on the $80 million deal. Not them being unhappy with you and now you in Boston on a one-year deal. That would just be my advice.
Jalen, there's also another interesting story from the NBA. And do you remember when the Mavericks brass all flew out to Slovenia to get Luka his new deal? Well, guess what? New head coach Jason Kidd flew out to Latvia to talk to Kristaps Porzingis and said that he's in a good place physically and mentally. How important do you think Kristaps is to the success of the Mavs?
Well, we know Luka's going to be the most important relationship that anyone with the Mavs has, whether it's Mark Cuban, Jason Kidd, whoever. But the second most important is going to be with that guy right there, Kristaps Porzingis. The way he played in the bubble, Jacoby, and the promise he showed with the New York Knickerbockers, I've talked to Jason Kidd about that. And that's one of the main reasons he wanted this job. He wants to prove that that guy could be more of the person that became a unicorn versus a spot-up shooter for the team last year.
So, Jalen, I'm getting older and I don't like to travel that much. I'm getting on a Zoom call. I'm not flying to Latvia to talk to Kristaps Porzingis. We got Zoom. We got FaceTime. Like, maybe he wants to get out the house. I can understand that. But I'm Zooming. I'm not flying to Latvia just so I can talk to my starting center. Shout out to Jason Kidd, though, putting in the extra effort. That is how important KP is. And we know what we're going to get from Luka. The thing about KP is you don't know what you're going to get from him, so he will swing that team one way or the other. Jalen, I know you always support all of your namesakes, and Jalen Green showed some really good promise in Summer League for the Houston Rockets, and he did something that was so Houston, I can't wait to show it to you. Look at that. Look at Jalen Green. Giannis Antetokounmpo also couldn't shoot from distance, but he has 2 trophies that he just won. He's also a former MVP, and Coach Bud, who we all thought might lose his job during their playoff series against the Nets, just signed a 3-year extension with the Bucks. What do you think about this deal? What does it mean for Milwaukee?
One word: stability. And the other place I saw this was San Antonio with Pop and Tim Duncan. When your superstar player is 10 toes down with the franchise and does what Giannis did, re-sign before the season even started, it took pressure off of the people that he wants to win a championship with. That's Coach Bud, that's Chris Middleton, and that's Drew Holiday. And so now you not only win the East, they've been knocking on the door the last couple of years, and Giannis is already a back-to-back MVP. They were already one of the best teams in the conference. They just couldn't get over the hump. But I believe him staying and then him improving his game. That also something that you want to give the coaching staff a lot of credit for. I see the one-leg jumper that he's now shooting, and he's not a knockdown three-point shooter, but he will attempt those shots. And last but not least, how about his free throws? You remember when people were teasing Giannis, counting when he was at the free throw line? Well, that was exactly one of the reasons why he's a champion today.
Yeah, those free throws in that clinching game were just amazing. I think he was 16 for 18, and I think that Giannis deserves a lot of credit for this, but the stability that you mentioned is important in Milwaukee because they've been building around Bud, Middleton, and Giannis for years now, and it seems like they got the right pieces. But Jalen, there is another team in the NBA that also has championship aspirations that did not make a playoff run last year, and that is the Golden State Warriors, and we have some video of something that we've missed so much. If you are a fan of basketball, you have to be a fan of the way Klay Thompson can shoot the ball, and he's back. Klay Thompson on Instagram getting buckets. Jalen, we always say that success is a function of realistic expectations. What are your expectations for this Warriors team when they add Klay and get the Splash Brothers back together?
The ultimate wild card in the Western Conference, the ultimate joker in any deck. Because you want Denver to get Jamal Murray back healthy to go with the reigning MVP Jokic. Spider Mitchell is going to continue to improve playing with the Utah Jazz. The Clippers will not have Kawhi Leonard for certain periods of the season. So now a team like the Golden State Warriors, who have a championship pedigree with the Splash Brothers and Draymond Green, so many young draft capital equitable players that they've picked up over the last couple of years to go with Wiggins. Now they become the team that it says, hey, if Klay's healthy, then they have a puncher's chance, a shooter's chance versus anyone. But also, if he's healthy, you want the young players that they've drafted to continue to develop and now get some value. So if you could probably pair a Wiseman or one of your young players with the Wiggins and now go out and get a more established player to make another run at a ring.
So that's my real question about this Warriors team is, does this team that is going to be in training camp finish the season with the same roster? There's always rumors about moving Wiggins or pairing Wiggins with Wiseman. They drafted Kuminga. Do you think the Warriors make a move and bring in another star?
I'll tell you what to look for. Klay Thompson's productivity, his minutes per game, and his games played. If he's out there consistently and he's remotely playing like himself before the last couple of seasons that he unfortunately lost due to injury, then they make a move. If he's not, then they don't make a move. You now got to play up the value of the guys you've taken in the lottery the last couple of years and then rinse and repeat the same thing this time next summer because you have Steph Curry under contract for a few more years.
We always talk about the Western Conference and we talk about the Lakers and adding Russell Westbrook and the superstars that they have. But one thing I found interesting is when you look at the Vegas odds of who's going to come out of the Western Conference, the Warriors are right there at number 2 over the Suns, over the Jazz, over the Nuggets that you mentioned, Luka Doncic and the Mavericks. Are you surprised that they're so high in this pecking order, according to Caesars?
I am not surprised because of what I just said. They do have the Splash Brothers, and Steph Curry was top 5 in the MVP race last year without Klay. And Draymond Green was still one of the elite defenders in the league. They still have Steve Kerr as their head coach. And when you look at the other teams, they just haven't done it. You haven't seen the Dallas Mavs do it. What are they going to get from Porzingis? The Phoenix Suns had a terrific run this year. They re-signed Chris Paul. You bring back Booker. You want your young players aiding in them to continue to take steps. So those squads are going to be in the mix, but we haven't seen them do it. We've seen the Golden State Warriors do it. And if Klay's playing and the Splash Brothers are remotely a version of themselves, they are in a position to shoot with anybody in the league.
It is time for some very important news that matters. Jalen, I love youth football, and this highlight that you are about to witness is one of my favorite clips I've ever seen from youth football. Look at this young man. Gets the ball, goes the wrong way. Coach chases him down, turns him around, and then just watch what happens next, Mr. Rose. What do you think about this young man
Jim
making
Marshall.
the turn?
Jim Marshall is somewhere watching. You're going the wrong way. Except he was a defensive lineman. He didn't have the juke moves. He didn't have the endurance. That's Lamar Jackson right there. Look at him right there.
Look at this.
Out there putting moves on top like he got figured out. He ain't get figured out.
Look at the blocking. Look at the
shout
blocking.
to his teammates.
Great blocking. Just
No
clear away, he
question.
didn't get touched. It's one thing to run the wrong way, but look at the blocking that he has.
Down. Blowing people down.
Taking on bigger people, just taking them out. Coach is like, go that way. He's like, all right, you're getting tired of
Look
this
at
point.
that, looking like Alvin Kamara out there in the 6th touchdown game.
Sit down.
You know what I'm saying? Mowing guys down, blah, blah, blah.
Look at that.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what? Everyone
Shout to his
celebrates the ball
teammates setting up
carrier.
the roadblocks.
Everyone celebrates the ball carrier. What they're really missing is the stars of this clip are the lead blockers for that young man. You know what?
Indeed.
Maybe everybody should just go backwards. Maybe everybody should just go backwards. Jalen, when we come back, we have an interesting story about one of the most pivotal players in the NBA, Kristaps Porzingis. What did head coach Jason swing and a miss?
Drop. Now that's a change-up, homie. The bottom fell out of that thing. I ain't mad at you. I couldn't hit 300 either. Let's start the show.
He's Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We give the people what they want.
We have an update on Klay Thompson's status. We have a big head coach extension in Milwaukee for the Bucks. But we start the show with Lamar Jackson. There had been some reports that this would be the year that the league would figure out Lamar Jackson. He was asked about that, and here's what he had to say.
I'm going to keep playing football. We're going to see. But I doubt it, dude. I doubt it. I strongly doubt it.
I just like the way he said, I doubt it, dude. I strongly doubt it. Jalen Rose, will this be the year that the league figures out Lamar Jackson?
Not going to be able to do it. So I love this topic for so many reasons, so please let me cook. Number one, not many teams in professional sports continuously have an identity. The Baltimore Ravens are one of those teams. The Pittsburgh Steelers also come to mind. They're going to run the football. They're going to play tough defense. They want to keep the turnovers down. That's who they are. Smash mouth football. And then all of a sudden, Ozzie Newsome like, wait a minute. Y'all going to let Lamar fall to me? Y'all going to take all of these quarterbacks before him? And then I now get him? And he becomes only the MVP of the league. And this discussion really is because he has done something so very outstanding that we normally don't see from his position. his running exceeded his passing because he's one of the best runners we've ever seen with the football. He's probably the most electric person currently in the game with the football. So yes, now the goal is for his passing, in particular outside of the numbers, because he had a great connection with Andrews for years. Now you get more weapons outside the numbers to go with Hollywood Brown. You hope that opens up their passing game. But this idea that Lamar just gonna be dropping back like he Russell Wilson and leading the league and getting sacked and getting hit, by the way, and then throwing deep balls, that's just not who he is, and that's not who the Baltimore Ravens want to be.
The idea that you can figure out Lamar Jackson, like he's some sort of like gimmicky offensive player, you can't figure out speed, and you definitely can't figure out his juke package because he makes more defensive players look silly than any other player in the entire league. And just look at what he does, as you mentioned, throwing the ball and running the ball. You just haven't seen it before. Like his QBR was 3rd in the league. Like he is doing it with his hands and with his feet, and you just can't figure him out. I love that they added Sammy Watkins. They drafted Bateman, who I think is going to develop into a player. They've got Andrews. They had some injury issues last year. Lamar Jackson is not going to be figured out. Can the Ravens figure out a way to be one of the top teams in the AFC is the true question. Do you think they can challenge the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Browns?
It's going to, again, be about their defense. Like their offense is going to play to its identity. It's going to allow Lamar to do what he does, and they play 4-down football. They're the only team that I watch, and it's like they going forward on 4th every time if they can. So they just look different, and it's because Lamar. Now, if they're going to accomplish the goals that you're asking, that has to be because of the defense, no question about it. And again, a guy like Lamar, this reminds me of early in LeBron James's career. You remember when LeBron was such a freak of nature with his height and his bulk and his ability to pass, and then his ability to drive and finish, and people was like, what's the weakness in his game? Oh, he couldn't really shoot. And so now he works on his three-point shot, and he's a complete player. That's what you're going to see with Lamar. His passing outside the numbers is going to improve, and the guy that we see so very electric running the football, who's shown us he can throw it from the pocket and be efficient and accurate, who's shown us he can do it on the run and be accurate, I think now is going to open it up outside the numbers.